Hello friends, a very warm welcome to the fifth session of this lecture series on the Android app development. Today we will be creating a first app, demo app, in which you will be understanding how to configure your device, your Android device, to accept the programs from your PC, how to program it on your PC, and then how to upload and run that particular APK in app file from your PC to your Android device through the USB cable. For today's tutorial, for today's lecture, you will need an Android device. Of course, you can use the emulator, that is a kind of virtual device, but I would not recommend that because you will not get the full potential of your app or the device. So what I would recommend is you should go for an Android device. Plus you will need a USB cable. The cable should not be a charge only kind of cable, it should be data cable. Whether C type or B type doesn't matter, but it should be a data cable. Okay, you should be able to transfer the files and view the files over that USB cable. Only then you will be able to use that for debugging and for the ADB purpose. ADB means the Android Debug Bridge. It's a piece of software which connects your Android device to your PC through the USB cable. So far I think you should be ready with these two material. One is the Android device, any Android device, and a USB data cable. When you first plug the USB into the PC, it will set up the device. It will download all the default required drivers from the internet and install on your PC. So you have to be patient for that, and your device must be visible in the MTP or PTP mode, or even in the file transfer mode. Once you see that device, only then you can understand, only then you can be sure that Android debugging will work on that particular PC. So first we will see how to configure the device. So let me just configure the device. I hope you are able to see the mobile screen. When you first purchase your mobile, when you initiate your mobile, by default the developer options are disabled. You will not be able to see the developer options. So to enable the developer option, you have to go to About Phone. In the settings menu, you have to go in the About Phone. In the About Phone, you have to click on build number multiple times, about 5, 6, 7 times. Only then the developer options will be enabled for you. But right now I have already enabled it in my PC, so I don't need to do it again, because it is saying no need, you are already a developer, because I have already enabled it. But if you have not done it, then you should click on it multiple times, and then it will be showing like you are only 2 steps away from being a developer, you are 1 step away, like that, and finally it will share that now you are a developer. And then go back and a new option should pop up, should be visible in your settings menu, either in the settings menu or in the settings and more options menu. A developer option should be enabled, should be visible. So by default the developer options are switched off. You have to switch it on. I am not switching it off now, because if I switch it off, you will not be able to see my mobile screen. And in that, can you see here, it is the USB debugging which you have to enable. So when you will enable that USB debugging, it will give you a warning that if you enable the USB debugging, your mobile can be used for viewing the files and installing the APKs and log the data over USB cable. You accept that warning, you click OK, and if you are using Redmi mobiles, you have to also disable the verify over USB, verify apps over USB. That option you have to disable, otherwise you will not be able to run the apps from PC to the device. Okay, once you are done with this, once the developer options are switched on, once you have enabled the developer options, and within the developer options you have switched on the USB debugging, then you can start with the debugging and programming. When you look into the Android Studio, you should be able to see the device on the top right corner. Okay, in here there are many options available, like Android Virtual Device Manager, run on multiple devices, or Android Motorola Moto G4. This is the name of the device that I am presently using. If you go to logcat, in the bottom left corner, if you see the logcat, you should be able to see the device in the drop down here, and some sort of log should start, because by default, if no application is selected, every application will be throwing something on the log, and that log will be visible in your logcat. Okay, this is the logcat where you will be seeing the debug messages, warning, error, report, all these kind of messages. Okay, so this is the logcat where you should see your device, and here on the top, in the top right box, you should also be seeing the device. This device, if you are seeing this device, that means your device is now connected, and it is receiving, it is connected through the Android debug bridge, and it is receiving the data from the PC. Okay, so just to run any app, you have to just go to build and click on run. Okay, or you just click on this button. This is a run app button, not build. You have to go to run and then run app. So click on run app, and let us see how it works. It will wait for the Gradle build. It will launch the activity, and now you see you have this activity running. Okay, so whatever you do, it will be shown here. So this is how you configure your device, Android device, to accept the programs and APK files from your PC, and this is how you configure the Android Studio on your PC. Okay, by default in Windows 10, Windows 7, all the drivers will be automatically installed. By default, everything will be installed automatically through the internet. If any driver is missing, it will scan, and it will search on the net and download it automatically. So what I recommend is, when you are first configuring your device, and when you are first using your Android Studio, by the time you first install your first app, you should keep your internet switched on. Okay, you should be connected to internet, and what I would recommend is you should go for an unlimited kind of plan, because when you are downloading the all the modules on Android Studio, it will take something like 2 to 3 GBs of data. So you should not be using mobile data. You should be using some sort of high-speed Wi-Fi connection kind of thing. Okay, broadband or something, because it's a big data that it will be downloaded for the first time. Okay. Similarly, if you are downloading the ADB, Android Debug Bridge, even that, in the Gradle you will need internet. You will need everywhere, in each and every module. Okay. Once you run your first app on your device, then it will not be required. Then you can be offline. For example, presently I am offline because I don't need it, because I have downloaded everything. All the 2-3 GB of data I have downloaded and configured my PC for that. Okay. So now let us see how we can run a we will just create first app, and how we can run it on the device. So I'm going to new project, and in this new project, let's say I'm using the empty activity. First of all, what I recommend is you should go for empty activity first, but then later on, depending on the purpose of your application, you may use basic activity, or maybe bottom navigation activity, or maybe a navigation drawer activity, whatever you like. Okay, these are kind of templates. It's not necessary that you cannot create a navigation drawer inside a empty activity. You can create, but it will be cumbersome. Okay, it will be difficult for you to make, and instead of reinventing the wheel, what they have done is they have created these templates. So if any like for example, you are creating a window for configuring the settings, you can choose the settings activity, this one. Okay, it will create, by default it will create all the relevant options, like one for checkbox, one for option box, one for yes or no kind of thing. Okay, so presently I am going for empty activity. Click next, and the name of the application, this is the name which will be displayed. So let's say training app. This is the package name. Package name has to be unique across all the apps throughout the world, and that is why it is prefixed by the domain name of the company. So presently we can use, maybe let's say gov.in. So in.gov. the name of the app. Okay, this name can be common, means like for example camera name, you can have in your device 2 or 3 apps which are named as camera. Okay, but their package name will be different, they will be unique. Okay, and where you want to save it. By default it is in the users, and then username, and then the Android Studio project, and then the folder of the name, folder which is of the same name as the name of the app. Language, I personally prefer Java, but you can use Kotlin as well. And which is the minimum SDK you want to support. Wherever you can support, let's say more than 95% of devices that you can select, 94, 95%. Okay, click finish, and it is going to create a project. It will do the Gradle build, it will index the files, make it searchable, and everything it will do. It will take some time. Whenever you are creating the app for the first time, it takes some time, so be patient. Don't close your Android Studio in this time, otherwise next time it will be again, everything has to be done from scratch. Not for you, but for the Android Studio, it will have to create all the files from scratch and download everything. So when the project is being created for the first time, it will download the required dependencies, modules, libraries from the net. So again, you should, when you are creating your first app, you should enable your internet, and you should be connected to the internet. Okay, so this is what it has created for me. If you can see, this is what it has created. It has created a layout file which is called as activity main, and it has created main activity.java file. So this is the programming part, this is the layout part, and here also you can see the text part. So I will just click on split. I can see the split, means on the right side I can see the graphical appearance of the activity, and on the central window I can see the text part, how it is, how the programming is done, not programming, how the layout is generated using the XML tags. And on the rightmost side I have the explorer kind of thing, where I can explore through the different parts of the app. So the most interesting, or I would say the most relevant parts, will be the Java and your folder, and the resources, layout, and the layouts. All the layouts will be residing inside the layout folder. All the graphics, like for example this is the background or graphic, this is the foreground of the icon. These all graphics will be residing inside the drawable folder. Bitmap are all the dimensions, and values, here you can see colors, strings, and themes, and everything. Okay, so this is the explorer kind of thing. The central part is the code or the XML tags, and on the right side you can see how it will be looking in the actual device. Okay, so let us run this first app. By default, what it has created, it has created a hello world. I think you are able to see this thing. Just let me zoom it. Okay, if you can see, there is a hello world, small hello world here. So it has created a constraint layout. Within constraint layout, it has created a text view which is having the text as hello world. The width of this text view is wrap content, height is also wrap content, and all the constraint parameters. Okay, so let us run this app. I think you are able to see the screen now. Now go to run and click on run app, or you can also click this green triangle button to run the app, or you can click shift F10 as well. So I'm just waiting for the Gradle build to run. So presently the Gradle is building, then it will do the indexing, then it will generate the APK, and then it will copy that APK to your device, and then it will run the activity and launch the activity. So we have to be patient for some time. Here you can see Gradle build is running right now. It will take some time. For the first time you have to be online. From next time onwards it can be offline. And for first time it will be slow. Second time onwards it will be a little bit fast. So now the app has come on my device, and can you see a new button has a new option has been enabled, which is called as run. It was not here earlier. So when you click on run, this is the log which has been created by this app. Okay, everything which is in white, it is for information. Everything which is in red, red or kind of maroon kind of color, that is a kind of error. Everything which is in orange or yellow color, that is the warning. So you can actually define when you are doing log, when you are displaying a log on the device, on the PC, you can actually define whether you want to show it as a warning or information or as a error. Okay, so can you see here on my device, on the top you can see there is a title bar which is called as training app, and in the center we have a hello world written text, that is a text view. And if you see your home screen in the app drawer, you can see an app must have been must have come here. On the bottom left corner, can you see here, this is the training app, this is the training app, where it is. So this is how you configure a device, and this is how you install the first app. Now we are going to play a little bit more with these apps. So what I'm going to do is, now I don't need this thing, I can comment it. I have commented this thing out. Inside this constraint layout, I need a number of buttons and text view and everything. So let's say I'm creating a button first. Whenever I click on that button, what it will do is it will welcome the user with a welcome message. Okay, so I will go with the button, and its width is wrap content. Wrap content means whatever is the content, depending on the length and width or height of the content, it will resize that particular object accordingly. Okay, so if I am writing welcome, it will be a small button, but if I write welcome to my app, it will be large button. Depending on the content, it will automatically resize the object. Okay, and let's say within this I need the text to be show welcome message and close the tag. Okay, and it is presently it is not having any constraints, that is why it is showing an error, but obviously we are going to have multiple items, and constraint layout does not allow multiple items within this tag. So inside this constraint layout, we have to create another layout which can support multiple items. So one of that is like you can have linear layout, you can have grid layout kind of thing. So I will go for linear layout, that is my favorite. So just a second, linear layout, wrap content, and I'm closing this here. Just a second, I need to close this thing. And here in linear layout, you have to specify which orientation. If it is horizontal, the layouts will be aligned horizontally. So orientation is vertical. So I want to align them vertically. So now, yes, constraints I am not given. So I can just copy these constraints from here to here. Okay, and I don't need this thing, and I can uncomment this thing. Okay, so now I think its errors are gone. Okay, so friends, this is how we can create a linear layout, and in this linear layout we can create multiple items. So I will just create another item just for learning sake. It will not be used. Just a second. Linear layout, its width and height should be equal to the parent. Okay, so it should be match parent. Okay, so now we have a linear layout which is having the dimensions as equal to the parent. The parent is this one. This constraint layout is the parent, and this linear layout has the dimension equal to the its parent, means the constraint layout, and within this linear layout I have a button whose dimensions are depending on the content, that is the wrap content. And let's say I create another text box, edit text, and its width, let's say width is match parent, but the height is wrap content. Okay, so here height will be determined by the height of the content, and width will be equal to the total width. Okay, so that is the thing. I can close it like this. Then let's say I'm creating another thing, text view, again wrap content, and its text is, say, welcome to my app, and close the tag. Okay, and let us now try to run this app on the device. So go to run and click on run app. It will again build the Gradle, and then it will generate the APK, upload it to the device, and run the activity. So now we have the fresh launching activity, and now can you see here there is a button, this is a button. After that there is a edit text where user can input whatever user wants, and then after that there is a text label kind of thing, that is the text view. Okay, so this is how you can this is how you can generate layouts, and these layouts can be right aligned, left line, center line, vertically high, bottom aligned kind of thing. You can also make the text as password only or number only, depending on the type of the text box. The keyboard will change. These kind of all things you can do. So now let us code something. For till now we were seeing only how to create the layout. Now let us go to the Java file and let us create a small message which is displayed to the user when the user clicks on that particular message. So here we have a button, and in this button there is nothing happening. When I click on this button, nothing happens because I have not coded anything. Okay, I have not told the Android Studio what to do when I click on this button, so that is why it is not doing anything. So there are two ways you can create a particular that you can run a piece of code when you click on this button. You can define inside the XML that which subroutine or which function you want to run when the user is clicking that button. Okay, or inside the Java file when the activity is created, at that time you can define that this particular button has a click listener. That click listener will do this job when it is clicked. Okay, so first we will see the first method where we will define within the XML that which function has to be run when a button is clicked. Okay, so here on click method, say show welcome message. Okay, so this on click parameter, this parameter will tell the Android Studio this particular show welcome message named subroutine function has to run when the button is clicked. But right now we don't have any function which is named as show welcome message. So that is why it is shown as red. And when you click, when you hover this particular the mouse on this particular text, it will say corresponding method handler is not found because we have not created any function. So for creating that function, you can go to main activity.java and you can from scratch write everything, or else just press Alter, Enter, and it will give you the options for this particular error or warning. Okay, so for this warning you can either provide a feedback, or you can suppress this warning, or you can create a function, or you can do many more things. So here we need to create this particular in the this particular function in the main activity. So just press enter and it will do this job for you. Okay, within the main activity it will create a message. It will create a function with name is show welcome message with parameters as view, which is void. Void means it is not returning anything, and it is public. Public means it is visible to all other activities as well. Okay, and here let's say I want to show a message, and in Android very small message which are shown in the dark oval shape kind of thing, they are called as toast. So type toast dot make text. Make text will create the text and the toast with the background, with the foreground and text inside it. Okay, something which is called as context. It is very much useful in the Android because in which context you are working. So presently we have the context as the application context. So we are talking in the application context. So either you know the context or you can get the context, whatever that Android will manage from where to get the context. So just you can type as get application context. It will get the context of the application. Okay, from where it is getting, you don't have to worry. Okay, next is charge sequence. Welcome to my app. Okay, this is the message, and finally the duration. So int duration is the duration, number of milliseconds for which that particular message will be shown. So by default it gives you, the Android gives you two different durations, small and long. So here you can type as not long, just a second. Length long. So this length long can be length long or it can be short as well. So short is generally used for a toast which appears for about 1 second or 1.5 seconds, and long is used for a toast which is for about 3 to 4 seconds. Okay, so I am presently going for long. Okay, so what it will do is it will create a toast with this context, with this message and with this duration. Okay, right now we have created a toast, but this toast is just created, it is not still shown. So to show it, you have to click on type dot show. Okay, now what it will do is it will take this library is C. As soon as I type this toast dot make text, it imported this library. Okay, you don't have to worry about which library it is in and how it is, you don't have to program it. Okay, in the toast library everything is by default it is given. So it will create a text, it will create a toast in this context with this message, with this duration, and then it will show it. Okay, that's it. Let us run it. Click on this button, run app. It will again install on your device. If it asks to terminate the existing app, you can terminate it and then you can install it, run it again. Okay, so now the graphical user interface is similar to what I had previously, but now when you click on this button, it will show a welcome message. Okay, so this welcome message on the bottom, welcome to my first training app. This is a toast, and see it is sustaining, this message is sustained for about 4 to 5 seconds. If you want to see what is the duration for short, you can go click here, again run app, and it will again install it. It will take some time. Click terminate. Okay, now same thing, same graphical user interface, same message, just the duration of that toast is now from long, instead of long it is now short. So when you click here, it is for about 1.5 to 2 seconds. Okay, so this is how you create a toast. Now let us see let us understand a little bit about how this particular structure or how this particular code is working. Okay, first let us see the layout part. In this layout, Android X is the support library. Okay, uh, the constraint layout is by default not available in the Android. Okay, so if you want to use constraint layout inside your app, you have to be dependent on the Android X library. Okay, uh, within Android X there is a constraint layout. Okay, within constraint layout there is something called as widget, and within widget again there is a constraint layout. Name is same but their functions are different. Okay, just a second. Then these are the again dependencies. Okay, HTTP scheme and schemas android.com, schemas.android.com, then APK, then resources, then Android. Now this is something which is a kind of dependency which is downloaded from the internet in real time. Okay, so it will download this particular resource from the internet when you are compiling, when you are building the Gradle. Okay, next is tools. These are the tools which will be used, which are being used inside the when you are inflating this particular layout. Okay, these are the tools. Layout width is match parent. Obviously this is the root parent, so match parent will be the screen size of the screen that you have, excluding the top navigation bar and the bottom navigation bar. Okay, height and width, they are matching the parent, and context is the main activity. So context means again this layout is being used for the main activity. If you have multiple activities for which activity you will be using this particular layout, that context you have to write here. Okay, within this you have a linear layout. Okay, within this linear layout, you have the height and width set as equal to the parent, orientation as vertical, the constraints as parent, it's constrained to the parent. How it is constrained to the parent means left or right or bottom or top. Then within this linear layout you have buttons and edit text and text view. And if you want to see this particular in a graphical format, if you want to see the structure in graphical format, you have a constraint layout. Within constraint layout you have a linear layout. Within linear layout you have a button, edit text and a text view. And if you open the button, there is nothing inside this because these are single tags. There is nothing inside this particular tag. Okay, this tag is starting here and closing here, starting here and closing here, kind of thing. Okay, so this is the structure of the XML file for layout purpose, not for others. For others we have different kind of XML. If you go to main activity, you can see within main activity this is the start of the activity, this is the start, this is the end. This entire is the activity, but this is the start of the class which is used for activity, this is the end. Within this, from here to here, you have two functions. One is onCreate, which is being overridden, and one is show welcome message. So this show welcome message is not overridden, this onCreate is overridden. Overridden has it's a kind of keyword which tells the compiler that it is not something which is created by the user, it is something which is being overridden by the app, by the Android, by Java. Okay, so this is how it works. Now here we have the package, as this is the name of the package. Means if you have multiple activities in a single package, the package name has to be same, and you have to be careful when you are copying and pasting the content from one app to another. You should be changing the package name, otherwise the app is not going to work. Okay, so this package name is unique and it has to be same consistent throughout the entire app, as many activities as you take. Then import is something which is kind of importing the libraries. So again we are importing the Android X library within Android app. Android X, we are importing the app compact, then app compact activity. Although it looks little bit daunting kind of and difficult, but the thing is Android Studio will take care of all these things. As soon as you type this thing app compact activity, it will work out that this particular package is residing inside which library, which is which inside which, and it will automatically download it. And if there are multiple libraries available, like for example if you are having multiple definition of say toast, this toast is let's say available in multiple libraries, then what it will do is when you create this particular text, when you type this particular text, it will give you a suggestion that out of these 3 4 libraries which one you want to use. So you can just select that particular library, click it, and it will import directly automatically. So this is how it makes it the programming part very easy, because you only have to focus on your main code and your main logic. Everything housekeeping part the Android Studio will take care of. Okay, so now inside this main activity, these are the import statements. After this we have public. It's a keyword. Public means it is visible to all the classes, all the activities inside the application. It's a class. Okay, uh, the name of the class is main activity, and it extends app compact activity. Extends means the properties of app compact activity will be automatically inside main activity. The behavior of app compact activities will be copied to the main activity, and in addition to that you can create some more behaviors or functions. Okay, then after that there is something, a keyword, compiler keyword, which is override. Means it overrides the user functions. It is being overridden by the Java classes, Java programming. Protected means it is visible only by the this activity. Means it is protected means this is only inside this particular activity. Okay, it's not visible to other activities. Void means it is not returning anything. On create, it's a default function. There are some functions which are kind of keywords. Okay, so whenever the web app is being launched, the Java will search for some function which is named as on create. Okay, and it will run this particular function when the activity is being created. Okay, similarly you can have many more other these kind of keyword functions, I would say. For example, when the app is resumed, you can call on resume. When the app is paused, you can call on pause. Okay, so if you want to see the um, different cycle where which particular function is called, you can just Google it and write as uh, activity life cycle. Let me just connect activity life cycle, and if you see the image, these are some of the functions. Whenever the activity is launched, the first function to run is on create. Means this function will be running when the activity is created. That is the first function. After that, on start will run. Okay, after the activity is created, it is started, and after the activity started, it is resumed. So after that, on resume will run, and then activity will be running. And whenever, say, let's say you press back button, or when you press home button, and or when, let's say, the mobile phone goes to the sleep mode, in that at in those cases on pause will run. Okay, on pause. And then uh, when the activity is or on pause will also run when another activity comes on the foreground and this one goes into the background. Okay, let's say you are running your app and a SMS appears. SMS is coming. So when the user is clicking this SMS app will come on the top in the foreground, and your activity will go in the background. So that is the point where on pause will run. Okay, that function will run. And if the activity is no longer visible, means like user has pressed back button, or user has pressed the home button, or user has destroyed this particular activity, in that case it will run the on stop, and after on stop, when the activity is finishing or when the exiting, when you are clearing it from the RAM, on destroy will run. Okay, if you are running in between, if you pause it and if you resume it, on resume will run. Okay, so if the activity is paused, as I gave the example, a user is using the app and the SMS comes, and the user clicks on that SMS, and the SMS comes on the SMS app that comes on the foreground. So your activity is now on pause, and when the user exits from the SMS app, your activity comes in the foreground, and that point again on resume will run. You can use these functions very cleverly to define the behavior of your app when the user is interacting with the device. Like for example, I would just give an example. For example, uh, your app is taking the picture using the camera. Okay, and suddenly incoming call is there. So for that time, if you block the camera, user will not be able to switch to video call. Okay, so your app is using the camera, and now a call is coming. When the user attends that call, you should free the camera. Okay, you should free that resource because it is no longer required. So what you can do is on resume you can start using the camera, and as soon as it is paused, you should release those resources. Okay, if you are using Bluetooth, if you are using camera, if you are using sensors, you should release those resources, because once your activity is paused, those resources should not be blocked by your activity. Otherwise other applications will not be able to use those resources. Okay, and again when it is resumed, you can again start using the camera to take the pictures and so on. So this is just an example of how on create, on resume, on stop, on destroy, all these things work. Okay, then within on create you have something bundle and saved instant state. So when the activity was destroyed, at that time what was the state of the instance that is saved inside the bundle. Okay, that bundle you can use to create your activity from scratch. For example, I would not say it is very much relevant in the on create, but it is very much relevant in the on resume. Okay, when the activity is paused and when it is resuming, the state of the app should be same. Let's say if you want to do that, then you should save this particular state of the app, state of the activity when you are pausing, and when you are resuming it, you should restore that. Okay, so here super dot on create and load this saved instance here on create. Okay, super means it is on top of the on create. Okay, and set the content view as r.layout.activity main. Now this again, it has 4 different words, but they all have different meanings. Set content view is something which is applied to this activity, means what would be the content view of your activity. Okay, this should be the content view of your activity. And what is this? R is a resource, I would say a file or vector or object, whatever. Okay, R in the R object, in the R is for resources. The full form of R we can say is resources. In the resources, you can take the layout, means you go here in the layout, and in this layout you take this activity main, means you take this and set this thing as the content view of this particular activity when the activity is being created. Okay, so this is how this activity is created. Now what I had done here in the layout, was that I told that when I click on this particular button, a function which is named as show welcome message should run. So I have created a public function which is named as show welcome message, and view means what is the view. It is passed as an argument. You can use this view also, and when this particular message is running, it will create a text toast with this text, with this context, with this length, and it will show it. Okay, now in the initial part of the lecture I told you that we will also see how to create a on-click listener using the Java. So here what we did is we created this function, or we told the Android Studio or the compiler that this particular function should run when the button is clicked. But it is not necessary. You can make this click listener inside the Java as well. So I'm just deleting it. Okay. Now if I run it, although I have this thing, I have this function here, but there is nothing which is defined inside this. So this button is not going to do anything. Let us see. Let's see. Although this function is here, but it is not doing anything. Let's see. See, when I am clicking it, it is not doing anything because there is nothing, no piece of code which tells that when I click on this button, this code has to run. Okay. So how to make this work is within Java, you can take this particular button. You can take this button and save it inside a variable. This button can be saved inside a variable, and in that variable you can define that when I click this button, which function you have to run. Okay, so I will just create a button my button. Okay, see, the Android doesn't know what button means because that particular library is not yet imported. Okay, so it says cannot resolve the symbol. So just to resolve the symbol, you press Alt Enter, and it will ask import class. Okay, you can also create a class from scratch. You can do that, but right now we need the class which is existing, which is already inside. Okay, so just click import class. It will import the android.widget.button. Okay, and when the activity is created, I will fetch this value, I will fetch the button and store that inside the variable. Okay, so is equal to, now there is a function which is called as find view by ID. Okay, all the views, all the buttons, all the text box, everything is stored in form of IDs. So either you know the ID, or what you can do is you can take the resource ID and fetch it inside this find view by ID. It will give you the ID of it. Okay, so resources dot view, not view, ID dot it is not detecting because we have not told what ID it has. Okay, so first you have to create the ID in this. Okay, so I have to create an ID here. This button has the ID as, okay, this is the ID. Why it is not taking? Okay, now it has taken. R.id dot. Okay, so if you can see, if you see here, its ID is 1000170. So you could have written 1000170 here, but that is cumbersome. It is difficult to debug as well, and it is difficult to understand as well. So now what it will do is it will see the resources. In the resources, it will search for IDs. Within the IDs, it will search for my button. It will of this resource ID, it will calculate, it will work out the view, and it will store this view inside my button variable. Okay, now you can do whatever you want with the my button variable. Now in this dot, now what I want to do is I want to create a on click listener. Okay, set on click listener, press enter, and here I want to set a new on click listener. New is a keyword which will create a new on click listener, view.onClick listener, and see, it has created everything else. Okay, so what it has done is it has, as soon as I clicked on view on click listener, it has created a overridden method on click. If I delete it, it will give an error because it needs at least one on click function. So on click means what will happen when the button is clicked. So I will just copy this thing and paste this thing. Okay, and this thing is not required. Training spelling was wrong. From Java on click listener. Okay, let us try to run this app now. Run this app. Let's see. We have to be patient, it takes some time. This time message I have changed a little bit, okay, so that we can distinguish. Oh, I just clicked terminate. Okay, just a second. Now it is running. Okay, and when I tap on this show welcome message, it will give you the updated message. Welcome to my training app from Java created on click listener. Okay, so you can create the on click listener from here or from here. And if you create it from Java, you have to give the ID. When you are typing the ID as well, there is something there is very peculiar. There is something which is typed as @ +ID. The meaning of this is that the Android Studio will create a new ID which is named as my button. Okay, +ID. +ID means it will create a new ID in real time. Whatever the ID it is, it will store in the r.id file. Okay, r.id file or r.id is a kind of database which maintains all the IDs of all the resources which are residing inside your app. Okay. Let us see how we can extract the text which is typed by the user inside this whatever I am typing here. How can I extract this thing? Okay, let us see. When I am creating another variable, let me first give the ID to this edit text. Its ID is say +ID my edit text, and here I am creating a edit text my edit text. Okay, when in the create I will again do the similar thing. My edit text is equal to edit text find view by ID r.id dot my edit text. That's it. And when I'm clicking this, I'm just commenting it, and then toast, just let me make a toast within this toast instead of this. Okay, user has typed, I will use plus text in the text box, and here I will extract the text of this particular edit text. Okay, my edit text dot get text dot to string. Okay, so what it will do is it will create a toast. It will create a toast with what? Welcome to my first training app for Java. This user has typed, and from this after user has typed, it will concatenate the edit text. It will take the edit text variable which we have already set to this ID to fetch this ID. It will take this, then it will take the text of it, it will convert it to string, and then again it will concatenate with this remaining text body. Let us try to run it. Go to run. Let us see how it works out. It will take some time. Okay, now we have got the activity. So let's say I am typing hello world. And when I click on this button, now it will tell welcome to my first this thing. User has just a second, has typed hello world text in the text box. So here, if you can understand, what it is doing is it is extracting the text of the edit text, putting it inside the toast and displaying it when the button is clicked. Okay, this is the flow of the program, and that is why everything is a kind of event based. The events are fired when a particular action is taking place. Okay, when I'm clicking the button, a particular event is fired. When I'm typing it, some event is fired. And if you can see run, in this run there is no log. Okay, so when you are trying to debug or when you are trying to print the values of variables in the runtime, it is not always feasible or practical to show toast within the app. That is not recommended, plus they are not easy to debug as well. So what you can do is you can log in the debugger. This is the debugger. Here you can log. Okay, how you can log? Just make a log, just to create a log dot e is for error log, a is for assert, I is for info, and so on. Okay, so let's say I want to highlight the log in red color. So this is my first log text. A log is again a library that you have to import, and it is showing some error. Why? Okay. The first thing should be the tag, and then it should be the message. Okay, the tag is a piece of text which you will be using to distinguish your tag from other tags, because your logger, the logcat, will run so many messages. So let's say my tag. Okay, and let's try to run it. So what do you think when this log e will run? When the user clicks on that button. Okay, so that thing should reflect here on this window. Let us try to see. Click on run. Click on run, and let's see. Let us just wait for. Okay, now the app has run, and whatever I'm typing here. And when you click on this show welcome message, can you see here? This is my first log text. This has come. And whenever, jitni baar मैं करूँगा, as many times as I click here, it will keep on appending. Okay, and similarly this the toast will also appear those many times. Okay, so friends, that is all for today. I hope you learned and you got insight into how to configure a device for the installation of app, how to configure the PC, how to configure the Android Studio, and how how the app flow is going, how the programming flow is going. That is what we did in our training app that we just created. So what I recommend is you should create an app by yourself, maybe today by tomorrow. You should create an app, and you should try to run it. It should be a very basic app. No need to use very fancy animations and graphics. It can be just a simple text or a simple button or simple edit text kind of thing. You can play with the properties of these buttons and edit text and text. You can change the fonts, you can change the font size, colors, you can change the button display kind of thing. Okay, so I hope I was able to give you the insight of the Android app development to some level, and this background is going to be this will be going to be a starting point now from the next lecture onwards. So you have to be very careful, because I'm not going to repeat these things. Whatever I have told in the present lecture, today's lecture, I will assume that now you know everything as far as today's lecture is concerned. So from tomorrow onwards, I'll be focusing on more advanced features or more detailed features of the app. I will not be repeating these things again. Okay, so we will meet tomorrow. Um, Thank you very much. Tomorrow, what we will be doing is we'll be creating. We have created the app today. We will be creating an we'll be understanding intents, because we have not done anything as far as intents are concerned. We'll be understanding the intents. We'll be understanding activities to some extent we have understood, but yes, we'll take these things even more in detail, and we'll also be understanding fragments. Fragments are a piece of activity kind of, and within one activity you can have multiple fragments. But within one activity you can have, within one app you can have multiple activities, and within one activity you can have multiple fragments, and those fragments can be reused in another activities. Okay, so these are kind of piece of activity that you can use within the activity multiple times or in other activities as well. So this is what we will be doing tomorrow. That's it for today. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow.